The planet Zorathia floated like a jewel in the endless darkness of space, its twin suns casting a soft violet glow over towering crystal cities. Its mountains sparkled like diamonds, rivers shimmered with silver light, and the air was filled with a quiet hum, as if the planet itself was alive. But even on a world this beautiful, the people of Zorathia cared little for appearances. Strength, wisdom, and courage were what mattered most, and no one embodied these qualities more than Princess Lyra, the daughter of Queen Varel. Lyra was unlike anyone else. She was tall and graceful, with silver hair that reflected the light of her planet and eyes the color of the twin suns at dawn. But her beauty alone was not what set her apart. It was the quiet fire in her heart, the determination that no one could bend her will, and the wisdom beyond her years. From the moment she could walk, Lyra learned to see the world clearly. She knew that every suitor who came to her court sought not her love, but her title. Many were princes of powerful planets. Others were wealthy merchants or warriors known across galaxies. All offered gifts, promises, or threats, yet Lyra remained untouched. Her attendants whispered that she had no heart, that she was cold, and that no one could ever win her. But Lyra knew the truth. Her heart was alive, and it was waiting. Waiting for someone who would not see her as a prize, but as a person. She longed for someone who would meet her eye as an equal, someone brave enough to see her beyond the crown and the expectations. She had no interest in hollow words or grand displays of wealth. What she wanted was rare, a soul who could touch hers without fear. The court often grew frustrated. Nobles from across the stars came, offering exotic jewels, advanced technology, and even entire planets as dowries. Yet each time Lyra politely refused. She did not laugh at their failures, nor did she mock them. Instead, she listened, understood their intentions, and then quietly declined. Some left angry, others left disappointed, but none ever made her heart skip a beat. None ever made her feel alive in the way she dreamed. Despite the grand ceremonies and lavish celebrations, there was a loneliness in Lyra's life that no wealth or title could fill. In the quiet moments, she wandered through the secret gardens of the palace, where glowing plants whispered secrets in the night air, and waterfalls reflected the starlight like liquid silver. Here she could be herself. Here she could imagine a life not dictated by duty, not constrained by tradition, but guided by her own heart. It was in these moments that Lyra dreamed of someone who could understand her completely, someone who would not be afraid of the depth of her mind or the fire of her spirit. The citizens of Zorathia admired her courage, but also whispered their doubts. She is too proud, some said. No one could ever reach her heart. And yet, there was something different about Lyra that even her critics could not deny. There was a spark of hope, a sense that perhaps one day someone extraordinary would arrive, someone who could see what others could not. Lyra herself held on to that hope silently. She did not rush or search frantically. She watched the stars each night, imagining the countless worlds, the countless beings who traveled across the cosmos. Perhaps among them there was one who would come, not for her crown, not for her kingdom, but for her heart. Until then she remained patient, strong, and wise, her heart beating quietly in the vast palace, waiting for a love that was truly worthy. And so, while princes and warriors, merchants and scholars, all attempted to claim her hand, Lyra continued to turn them away. She smiled, she nodded, she listened, but she never gave her heart. She knew the day would come when someone would not just bow or kneel, but meet her as an equal, see her as a person, and capture the heart that no one else could touch. And she waited for that day, as patiently as the stars waited for the night. Far away from the sparkling cities of Zorathia, in the quiet blue world of Earth, a young captain named Aaron Blake looked up at the stars and dreamed of adventure. He had always been fascinated by the vastness of space, the mysteries of other planets, and the possibility that life existed beyond his tiny world. Aaron was not rich, not royal, and certainly not powerful in the eyes of the galaxy. His ship was modest, his crew small, but he carried something far more important, a heart full of curiosity and courage. Aaron had been sent on a diplomatic mission to Zorathia by the Galactic Council. His task was simple: observe, learn, and report. But he had no idea that this journey would lead him to meet someone who would change his life forever. When his ship first entered Zorathian space, he was awestruck. The planet's twin suns glimmered across the horizon, casting a violet glow over cities made of crystal and light. It was more beautiful than he had ever imagined. Yet it was not the planet that would captivate him most. It was the people who lived there, and eventually one person in particular. The moment Aaron entered the Grand Palace, he felt the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down on him. Zorathians moved with elegance, spoke with authority, and carried an air of nobility that made him feel small. Many of the courtiers whispered about the human with a mix of curiosity and disdain. He comes from a primitive world, they said. He cannot hope to impress the princess. Aaron did not respond to them, nor did he feel intimidated. He had always believed that courage was measured by heart, not by birth or title. It was in the palace gardens that he first saw her, Princess Lyra. She stood near a crystal fountain, her silver hair shimmering in the violet light, her eyes reflecting the brilliance of the twin suns. Aaron did not bow, nor did he attempt to charm her with words of flattery. He simply smiled and said, "Hello, I'm Aaron." His voice was calm, steady, but filled with a quiet confidence that was unusual for someone so ordinary. Lyra's eyes widened, not because of his appearance or status, but because of his manner. He did not treat her as a distant queen, nor did he stare at her with the hunger of a suitor seeking a prize. He looked at her as an equal, with respect, with curiosity, and with genuine interest. For the first time in years, Lyra felt something stir inside her, something she had thought she would never feel. Over the next few days, Aaron and Lyra met often. He asked questions about her world, about its customs, its people, and its beauty. She shared stories of her childhood, of secret gardens where glowing plants whispered in the night, and waterfalls that reflected starlight like silver mirrors. Aaron listened with awe, not because he had to, but because he truly wanted to understand. He asked her about her dreams, her fears, her loneliness, and for the first time, Lyra spoke freely. She laughed, really laughed, without the careful control she always maintained in court. The courtiers watched in disbelief. A human, a simple being from a distant planet, had managed to draw the princess's attention. But neither Aaron nor Lyra cared. Titles, ranks, and traditions meant nothing in the quiet moments they shared. They were not a princess and a human. They were two souls discovering a connection deeper than anything either had experienced before. Aaron's presence brought warmth to Lyra's life, and in return she inspired him. He saw in her courage, wisdom, and integrity a strength he had never known. And though the galaxy might see them as an unlikely pair, in those stolen moments among the gardens and fountains, nothing else mattered. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself to hope that her heart might not remain untouchable. And for the first time, Aaron realized that the stars were leading him not just to adventure, but to something far greater, a chance to touch a heart that had remained closed for so long, and perhaps to change the fate of an entire world. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Aaron and Lyra deepened in ways neither had expected. The palace, once a place of strict rules and careful appearances, became a place of laughter and quiet understanding whenever they were together. Lyra showed Aaron the secret corners of Zorathia that no visitor had ever seen. The hidden gardens where plants glowed softly at night, the crystal-clear lakes that reflected the twin suns, and the ancient libraries filled with knowledge older than many planets. Each place revealed a side of her that the court had never witnessed, a side full of curiosity, joy, and a longing for freedom. Aaron, in turn, shared stories of Earth, of oceans that stretched farther than the eye could see, mountains that scraped the sky, and forests filled with sounds and smells utterly foreign to Zorathia. He spoke of the simplest things: rain falling on a quiet town, children playing in the sunlight, families sharing meals. Lyra listened, fascinated, imagining a world so small yet so full of life. She realized that humans, though fragile and young in the galaxy, carried a spirit she had never encountered among the nobles and warriors who had come to court her. Yet, as their friendship grew, whispers and disapproving glances followed them. Courtiers murmured behind raised hands, their voices thick with judgment. The princess should not spend time with a human, one advisor hissed. He is a primitive being. What could he possibly offer her? Another scoffed. She is risking her reputation for a stranger with no power, no influence, no claim. Lyra ignored them. She had heard these words before, but this time they had no weight. Her heart had recognized something important, something far greater than titles or social expectations. One evening, Lyra took Aaron to a secluded waterfall, where the water shimmered like liquid light and the air smelled faintly of the glowing flowers that surrounded them. The two of them sat in silence for a long moment, listening to the gentle roar of the falls. Then Lyra spoke quietly, almost as if sharing a secret with herself. "I have turned them all away," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Every suitor who came to win me. I thought no one could ever reach me. But you are different. You don't see me as a prize, as a title, or as a duty. You see me as me, and I don't know what to do with that." Aaron reached for her hand. His touch was gentle, yet it carried a strength that surprised even him. "Lyra," he said softly, "I don't need your title, your kingdom, or your power. I just need you to be yourself. That is enough for me." Tears glistened in Lyra's eyes. For the first time, she felt the weight of her loneliness begin to lift. She realized that connection, understanding, and trust mattered more than ceremony or expectation. And in Aaron, she had found all of these things. But the path ahead was not without challenges. Not everyone in the court approved of their bond. Some nobles grew jealous. Others feared the influence of a human on their princess. Aaron could sense the tension, the subtle glances and whispered warnings that followed them even in the gardens. He knew that showing courage here meant more than simply being brave in battle. It meant standing firm in the face of doubt, criticism, and tradition. Together, they began to navigate the unspoken rules of the palace. They shared stolen moments in the gardens, walked under the starlit skies, and laughed at the absurdity of the court's obsession with power. Each moment built a bridge between their worlds, a bridge of understanding, respect, and slowly something far deeper: love. Lyra had always believed that no one could reach her heart.
And yet here was Aaron, a human from a distant blue world, doing exactly that.
He had shown her that bravery was not only in strength but in empathy, that kindness could be stronger than gold, and that love could flourish even across the widest distances in the galaxy. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt truly alive. And Aaron too realized that he had found a connection stronger than any starship, stronger than any mission, a bond that would shape both their lives and perhaps even the destiny of worlds. The Festival of Suns was the grandest event on Zarathia, a celebration of light, power, and unity that drew rulers, nobles, and warriors from every corner of the galaxy. The palace shimmered with colors beyond imagination. Crystal chandeliers reflected violet sunlight, glowing banners swayed in the gentle breeze, and fountains poured liquid light into the marble courtyards. It was a festival meant to honor the princess, and every suitor who hoped to win her hand prepared for the challenge. Aaron and Lyra walked side by side through the crowd, careful not to let the spectacle overwhelm them. Though the halls were filled with applause and music, whispers followed their every step. "A human here?" some courtiers murmured. "He has no right to stand beside the princess." Yet Lyra ignored the murmurs. She had already made her choice, not for wealth, not for power, but for someone who understood her, who respected her, who made her heart feel alive. The moment of trial arrived sooner than anyone expected. Prince Zarek, a rival from a nearby galaxy, strode forward, his armor shining and his expression sharp. He had courted Lyra for months, presenting gifts, promises, and even threats, yet she had rejected him each time. Now anger and pride fueled his every move. "If a human dares to stand here, he must prove his worth," Zarek announced, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "He will face the trial of skill, intellect, and honor. If he fails, he leaves, and the princess remains mine." The crowd gasped. Many laughed at the idea that a human, a simple being from a distant blue world, could succeed. Aaron stepped forward calmly. He had never been the strongest nor the most experienced in battle among warriors of the galaxy, but he carried something far more powerful: determination, courage, and the belief that he was here for love, not conquest. The trial began. First came the test of intellect, a complex puzzle involving ancient Zorathian symbols and sequences. Zarek moved quickly, confident in his knowledge, while Aaron paused, observing, thinking, and then acting with careful precision. Slowly but surely he solved the puzzle, step by step, surprising the court with his clarity and patience. Next came agility and skill. The trial involved navigating a floating platform over shimmering water, while avoiding obstacles designed to test reflexes and balance. Zarek leaped confidently, but arrogance caused him to falter. Aaron moved with steady focus, calculating each step, and crossed the course without mistake. The crowd murmured, disbelief written on their faces. Finally, the test of honor arrived. A duel of strategy and combat where strength mattered but wisdom mattered more. Zarek attacked with speed and aggression, relying on power alone. Aaron, though human and physically weaker, anticipated every move, countered with clever precision, and used Zarathian techniques he had observed quietly in the palace halls. Step by step he outmaneuvered the prince not through raw force but through courage, patience, and intelligence. When the trial ended, silence fell over the hall. No one expected a human to succeed, yet Aaron had proven not just his skill but his heart. Lyra's chest swelled with pride and admiration. She had watched him stand not as a simple visitor, but as someone willing to face impossible odds for something he believed in, someone willing to stand beside her not beneath her but as her equal. Prince Zarek, humiliated and defeated, bowed stiffly before leaving, while the court remained divided, some in shock, some in awe. But Lyra knew the truth clearer than ever. Courage, kindness, and heart were worth more than any title or power. Aaron had shown her that humans, fragile as they might appear, could rise to greatness in ways the galaxy had never imagined. That night, under the twin sun's soft glow, Lyra's heart was certain. Aaron was not just a visitor or a suitor. He was the one who had reached her heart when no one else could. And their journey together, though not without challenges, had only just begun. The morning after the Festival of Suns, the palace was quiet, yet tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Courtiers whispered in corners, some in awe of Aaron's unexpected triumph, others in anger at the disruption of tradition. Princess Lyra walked through the crystal halls, her mind heavy with thought. She had always known that one day she would have to choose not just a suitor, but the path her heart would follow. And now, that moment had arrived. Queen Varel, her mother, called Lyra to the private gardens, a place where flowers glowed softly in the morning light and waterfalls sang quietly. The queen's expression was serious, her eyes reflecting both pride and concern. "Lyra," she began gently, "you know what the court expects. A human cannot offer what a prince or noble can. There will be resistance. Your decision will be questioned, even opposed." Lyra looked down at her hands, then back at her mother. Her silver hair shimmered in the light, but it was her eyes, bright with resolve, that held the queen's attention. "I know, mother," she said softly but firmly. "I have listened to the court all my life. I have been careful, wise, and patient. But my heart cannot be guided by fear or expectation. It belongs to him." Queen Virel studied her daughter for a long moment. "He is human. Many would see this as scandalous." "Are you certain?" Lyra nodded. "I am certain. He has shown me courage that none of the others could. He has seen me as I truly am, not as a princess, not as a title, not as a duty. And I see him the same way. My heart knows the truth. I cannot turn away from it." Aaron had been waiting nearby, unaware that the moment of decision had arrived. When Lyra walked toward him, the air seemed to shift, charged with unspoken emotion. Their eyes met, and in that instant words were unnecessary. Everything they had shared, the laughter, the long walks through gardens, the quiet nights under the stars, the trials they had faced, culminated in this moment of clarity. Lyra took his hand, her grip steady, her touch gentle. "Aaron," she whispered, "I choose you. Not because you are perfect, not because you are strong, but because you are true. You have reached my heart in a way no one else ever could." Aaron's eyes shone with emotion. "Lyra, I don't deserve this," he said softly, though his hand held hers tightly. "But I promise I will honor your heart, protect it, and never take it for granted." The courtiers watching from afar murmured in shock. Some gasped, others whispered scandal, yet Lyra felt nothing but certainty. She stepped forward boldly, no hesitation in her movement, no doubt in her voice. "From this moment there will be no question," she declared. "I choose love over expectation. I choose truth over tradition. And I choose him for my heart and for our future." Even Queen Virel, wise and stern, could not hide a proud smile. She had always known that Lyra's strength was in her mind and her heart. Now it shone brighter than ever, for she had chosen not out of duty but out of love. Aaron and Lyra stood together in the glowing gardens, their fingers intertwined, their hearts beating in sync. Around them, the palace seemed to breathe, as if the stars themselves had witnessed the courage it took to follow one's heart. The whispers of the court grew quieter, replaced by awe, curiosity, and a slow understanding that love in its purest form could transcend all boundaries. In that moment, Lyra realized the truth she had always known deep inside. Courage was not only in battle or in wealth or in power. True courage was the ability to follow one's heart, even when the world opposed you. And in choosing Aaron, she had shown not only her heart but the heart of Zarathia itself. That love could be stronger than fear, stronger than tradition, and stronger than any expectation. And as they walked through the secret gardens hand in hand, Lyra felt a freedom she had never known. Her heart was finally hers to give, and it belonged entirely to the human who had captured it so completely. After Lyra's choice became known, the palace buzzed with tension and curiosity. Some nobles admired her courage, impressed that a princess had dared to follow her heart. Others scowled, whispering that the future of Zarathia was at risk. But Lyra paid them no mind. She had chosen, and her heart could not be swayed by fear or tradition. Aaron stood by her side, steady and calm, though he could feel the weight of the court's scrutiny pressing on them both. Their days became a dance of small, meaningful moments. In the mornings, they walked through the glowing gardens, exchanging stories and laughter. Lyra showed Aaron the secret paths of Zarathia, where crystal flowers shone in colors unseen anywhere else in the galaxy, and waterfalls sang a song only the heart could hear. Aaron, in turn, taught her about Earth, the blue oceans, green forests, and endless skies. A planet alive with life in ways Zarathia had never imagined. They spoke for hours, their words bridging worlds, creating a bond that grew stronger with every shared story and every quiet smile. But challenges remained. Not all the court accepted a human as Lyra's equal. Some nobles spread rumors, tried to undermine Aaron, and questioned whether he could protect the princess both in the court and beyond. They whispered of danger, of how fragile a human was compared to Zarathian warriors and interstellar rulers. Aaron felt the pressure, but he did not waver. He knew that strength was not measured by size, rank, or armor. It was measured by courage, loyalty, and the willingness to stand for what was right. One evening, as twin suns dipped behind violet mountains, Aaron and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The air was cool, and the glow of the crystal towers reflected in their eyes. "Do you worry about them?" Lyra asked softly, her hand brushing his. Aaron shook his head. "Not really. Let them doubt me. I don't need their approval. I only need to stand beside you to protect you and your heart. That is enough." Lyra smiled, feeling a warmth that spread through her entire being. She had never felt such certainty, such peace. The court could murmur, the galaxy could judge, but nothing could shake the truth that had grown between them. Aaron had reached her heart, and she had opened it freely without hesitation. Over time, their love became more than a bond between two hearts. It became a symbol of courage, of hope, and of the extraordinary potential of humans. Courtiers slowly began to see Aaron differently, not just as a visitor from a distant world, but as a man of integrity, bravery, and wisdom. Even the skeptics could not ignore his dedication, the way he respected Lyra, and the way he carried himself with honor, despite his lack of status. Lyra, too, felt the transformation within herself. She had always been a princess, admired for her beauty, her intelligence, and her strength. But with Aaron, she discovered new depth, joy, trust, and the freedom to be entirely herself. She laughed more easily, spoke more openly, and allowed herself to dream of a future she had never dared to imagine before. Their nights were filled with stargazing, imagining the countless worlds that stretched across the galaxy. They planned journeys not for conquest or duty, but for understanding and connection. Every adventure, every discovery, every quiet moment together strengthened the bridge between their two worlds, proving that love, courage, and respect could overcome any obstacle, even the vastness of space. And as the twin sun set once again, casting violet light over Zarathia, Lyra realized the truth she had always known deep in her heart. Love was the greatest force of all. It could defy expectations, conquer fear, and change the course of entire civilizations. With Aaron by her side, she was ready to face whatever the galaxy might throw at them, not as a princess and a human, but as two souls united against the stars. Years passed, and the story of Lyra and Aaron became legend across Zarathia and beyond. The princess who had once turned away every suitor had chosen a human, a being from a distant, fragile world, and in doing so had shown her people a new kind of courage. Their love was not just a private bond, it was a symbol of hope, proving that respect, bravery, and kindness could bridge even the widest gaps in the galaxy. Aaron had earned the trust of Lyra's people through countless acts of courage and compassion. He did not seek power or status, yet his presence inspired those around him. He saved lives during unexpected attacks, helped negotiate peace with distant planets, and proved time and again that humans, though small in comparison to many galactic species, could achieve greatness through determination, intelligence, and heart. The people of Zorathea began to see the strength that humanity carried, the ability to face impossible odds, to act with honor, and to protect others without expecting reward. Lyra stood by his side through it all, no longer a lonely princess constrained by duty, but a partner equal and unafraid. Together they explored distant worlds, shared knowledge, and built bridges between civilizations. She discovered new joys in the simplest things, a human touch, laughter that came from shared secrets, and moments of quiet comfort under alien skies. And in these small joys, Lyra found freedom and happiness she had never imagined possible. Yet the challenges were not gone. Some in the galaxy still doubted a human's worth. Some questioned the wisdom of a princess who chose love over tradition. But Lyra and Aaron faced each trial together, hand in hand. Each obstacle they overcame was a testament not just to their bond, but to the potential of humanity itself. The galaxy began to take notice. Strength was not only in size or firepower, but in courage, empathy, and the ability to act selflessly. Humans once underestimated now earned respect as beings of remarkable heart. One evening, as twin suns set over the violet mountains of Zorathea, Lyra and Aaron stood in the gardens where their bond had first blossomed. The air was filled with the soft hum of glowing plants, the waterfalls reflecting light like liquid silver. Lyra took Aaron's hand, feeling the warmth that had always drawn her heart to him. "Do you remember the first day we met?" she asked, a gentle smile on her lips. Aaron nodded, his eyes shining. "I remember thinking that the most extraordinary thing about this planet wasn't the crystal cities or the glowing gardens. It was you." Lyra laughed softly, a sound that had become familiar to the palace, to the city, to the galaxy, "and I thought no one could ever reach me. Yet here you are, and everything has changed." Aaron tightened his grip, feeling the depth of her words. "Not just for you, Lyra, for everyone. The galaxy has changed because we dared to care, dared to love, and dared to stand together." And indeed, the galaxy had changed. Lyra and Aaron's story inspired humans and aliens alike. It showed that even the smallest, seemingly weakest beings could rise to greatness through courage and heart. Humans became known not just for their technology or their curiosity, but for their empathy, determination, and unshakable spirit. For Lyra, the change was deeply personal. She no longer felt the loneliness that had shadowed her childhood. Her heart was full, shared with someone who saw her completely, who challenged her, inspired her, and walked beside her through every trial. She realized that true freedom came not from wealth, titles, or power, but from choosing love, trust, and connection above all else. As they stood together beneath the violet sky, the twin suns casting long shadows over the glowing gardens, Lyra knew one thing with certainty. Love had the power to change the world. And with Aaron by her side, she was ready to face whatever the stars might bring, knowing that together, their hearts could move galaxies. The princess who once turned away every suitor had found the one who truly mattered, a human who captured her heart, and in doing so, captured the imagination and respect of the galaxy. And so their story endured, a shining example that courage, love, and humanity could light even the darkest corners of the universe.